Okay, so I'm out today. I'm just on the edge of the forest actually, and I came in here just to get out of the bright sunlight. Today I'm travelling pretty light. I've got the Sony A7 III and I've got the 24 to 105 zoom lens with me. I don't have any other lenses in my bag, nothing. Other than this lens here, and this is the lens that I'm going to use today. So it's a Vivitar 135mm, 135mm 2.8. It was made around 1980, and it's the Minolta version, so it's got an MD to NEX adapter on it. It's also got a 1A filter on the front, an anti-haze filter on the front to protect it. It's got a little zoom here, it's got a little lens hood here. Don't know how effective that'll be, but it's supposed to have very good bokeh or bokeh, depends on how you want to pronounce it. I've not used this lens on this camera as yet, so this will be its first outing, and since I like to use vintage lenses, this should be a good opportunity to take some photographs and see what I think of it. So that's what I'm going to do. Nothing spectacular. I'm just going to walk around, get some shots that hopefully will suit the 135, and I'll use it at various apertures and see what the results look like. By all accounts, it's a very good lens from the other reviews that I've seen, but we'll see what photographs we can get and whether I like them or not. So let's get started. Okay, so I've found my first shot. It's basically just a group of trees, and I'm going to shoot this shot at f11. Now, when you set up the lens on the camera, you have to put your camera into aperture priority, so that you set the aperture on the lens, and then the camera will determine what the exposure is going to be. You don't. Maybe I'm wrong here actually. Maybe you don't have to put it in the aperture priority. Maybe you can use it in manual. However, I set it to aperture priority, and then what I do is I'll focus, I will set the aperture, and then I'll use, the camera will tell me it's overexposed or it's underexposed, and I'll use the exposure compensation dial to adjust what is the correct exposure. So right now I've got it set to f11. It's telling me that it's at 1/8 of a second. I believe I've got the 2-second timer set. Just let me check. Actually, I've got it set to 2 seconds now. So let's take the shot and let's see what the quality looks like. So it's 1/8 of a second and at f8. The reason I'm saying this on the video is because when I go back and check the photographs, I won't be able to determine what the aperture was, because when you put the photographs into your software, it won't recognize an aperture. It won't say what the aperture was. So there you go, that's the first shot in the bag. We'll look at the quality. None of the photographs taken today will be taken with any other lens other than this one. So all the photographs that I put up throughout this video will all have been taken with this lens. Okay, so I've got another shot. The camera is set up. I'm currently in at 2.8. This lens is supposed to give a really nice bokeh. So let's test it out on that clump of grasses that is just beyond here. Exposure is 2.8 at 2/50th of a second. The grasses are very wispy, so very light, and they're being blown around quite a bit by the wind, so I need a faster shutter speed to catch them and hopefully catch them sharp. So let's take the shot. Bearing in mind that I've got a 2-second timer set up. So let me just look at that. So I've got the shot. I'm going to try and take only one shot of each subject today. So you could spend half an hour here trying to get the right shutter speed combination, aperture combination. The idea here is to come out, get multiple shots, and just see how well the lens performs when you set it up and you think you've got it right the first time. If you were using a film camera, that's what you would be doing. You would be coming out, you'd set up the shot, you'd take the shot, and you would go home thinking you've got the shot in the bag. So I'm trying to recreate what you would do if you were using film. You wouldn't sit here and or you couldn't sit here and take the photograph and review it right away. You didn't have that option with film. So the idea is come out, take the shot, hopefully you've got it in the bag, and if you go back and you review it and you say that's not a very good shot, or this is not right, or that, you've failed. But that's what we had to live with when we were doing film photography. So for this shot, the exposure is 2.8 at 1/80th of a second, and basically what I'm doing is I'm shooting these backlit leaves at the large aperture so that I can get the maximum bokeh. I'm also very close. I'm probably about 1.5 meters from the subject, and one of the negative points about this lens is it doesn't have a particularly close focusing distance. I think it's probably about 75 centimeters or something. Okay, I just took a shot. The sun is died down now, but these leaves were backlit, and I just took the shot. It was 2.8 at 1/80th of a second. Okay, so I've came across this shot, and this is a shot that I would take with any lens combination. I'd just be interested to see what this looks like. I've taken a relatively low viewpoint because I do want to see. There's not a lot of interest here on the forest floor, but right up next to the tree. But I do want to see what kind of bokeh I'm going to get at about 5.6. Now, typically using lenses like this, 5.6 would be considered the prime aperture, 5.6 f8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this shot, and the nice thing about the 135, the focal length of 135 is it's allowing me to shoot right between these two trees. So let me just, I've not even focused it yet, so let me just get down. It's currently focused on infinity. Okay, and let me just see what that looks like. Combination of f5.6 and 1/6 of a second. It's on a 2-second timer. And that's it. Now this is typically a shot that I would take anyway, regardless of the lens that I'm walking around with. It's just a typical shot that it suits my type of photography. I like the shot. Hope you do too. I'm going to take another one, and I'm going to take it at f8, just so we can compare what is the sharpest aperture. That would be interesting to see. I've already focused it, so it should be fine. Okay, so this is actually quite interesting for me too, because I've not really thought about how easy digital photography is in comparison to what we used to have to do. Take the photograph, go and get it developed, and then get your photographs back or your negatives back, or slides or whatever it was you were shooting, only to find out that you screwed up. The nice thing about this is the nice thing about digital photography is you get the chance to review it and take another shot. Okay, so I guess I'm pretty close to the minimum focusing distance here. Let me get this off. And I just wanted to get the same subject, just another photograph from a different angle. And I just like the look of this here. So I'm going to go back down to 5.6, and I'll obviously need to refocus. So again, this is ISO 100 or ISO 100. It's 1/6 of a second at 5.6, and it's on a 2-second timer. I just like the look of that, so we'll see how it comes out. As I said, this is the sort of thing I was doing 30 years ago with film. You take the shot, you hoped that you got it right, and when you got the film back, a lot of the time you were just disappointed. That's just the way it was with film. Okay, so this shot is half a second at f11. Again, it's on a 2-second timer. I've already focused it. And I'll just show you what it looks like on the back of the camera. So you can see on the back of the camera what I'm seeing through the viewfinder. And you can see that it does not show you the aperture. I will only show you the shutter speed. So the whole idea today was to come out and test this lens. Going by what I see, I'm pretty happy with it. You'll have to decide for yourself whether it's an option for you. But if you've got an A7iii or one of the Sony A series cameras, you can use vintage lenses. It's quite a cheap way of getting prime lenses with fast apertures of 1.8, 2.8, and it's within most people's budget. So would I recommend it? Yes, I would. Obviously there are better lenses available than modern lenses. Even the 24 to 105 is likely a much better lens. However, it costs 10 times as much. So the choice is yours. I would definitely see it as an option. I hope you've liked the photographs that I've put up so far, and if this has been helpful, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you think this has been useful, and potentially future videos could be useful, and I appreciate the support. Thanks very much, and until next time, bye bye.